Hello everyone, welcome back to ShootOut and welcome back to another reaction video as we go through match day 3 of the Premier League weekend that has just passed us, and myself and George Benson are about to go through our predictions, whether we got it right or wrong, and our thoughts on each and every single game that took place this weekend. My man George, how are you doing?
Mate, I'm good. It was such a nice weekend to have Chelsea playing early, and then the rest of it was just about enjoying the football because we were actually pretty good. We got 3 points and we managed to both get our first point of the week on Friday night for the predictions based on results. So we got a point each because we both said 2-0 and Chelsea outperformed our prediction. So we can't not be happy with that. I'm great, mate.
Yeah, completely. You know what's crazy? I said 2-0 as a prediction on here. When I done my match preview on my channel, I predicted 3-0. I ended up getting that right.
Yeah.
So I've got to really think about it next time.
They were happy with me too because I said, yeah, Jackson's going to score and we're going to win 3-0. And if you back the boost, then you're good. So they were happy. I was happy. Mate, I think we weren't scintillatingly brilliant, but there was more than enough good things in there. And just to see Chelsea score 3 goals, finally win a match at Stamford Bridge in the first time out in 9 games, I think it was. We've gone 8 without a win. It was a must-win, but we got the job done very convincingly.
We did. I think, 6 months without a win at the bridge in the league or something like that. I mean, we've been through tough times, the trenches, we're out of it. We're winning games again, happy days. Nicholas Jackson scoring a goal, we're very happy. That second half was much better than that first as well. So, overall, happy with the performance?
Yeah, I think the first half was a bit slow. I thought the lineup that Poch puts out, I'm not sure that the 3 in the back was 100% necessary, but I think he is also a bit worried about Caicedo's fitness. I think we went with that to kind of protect that fact that Luton on the counter could be dangerous, and we're not entirely sure if Caicedo's fully ready yet to play a full game to the peak of what he can actually do. But I think he grew into the game, and I think it's good in the end that Chelsea looks so comfortable, and the best way to get players like Caicedo to full match fitness is to get them minutes in games where Chelsea are controlling, Chelsea are dominating, Caicedo doesn't have to be the match winner. We had Enzo playing incredibly well, Sterling playing phenomenally, and Jackson scoring goals too. So I think overall, in terms of the stepping stone for the season, the momentum shifter, I think we did everything we needed to do. And by the end, it was brilliant to see Sterling again playing when he was peak at Man City, the top level that we saw from Sterling there. He was fantastic. An assist and 2 goals, you can't ask for more.
He was. And in the way that he actually approached this game compared to how we started off the season, it's night and day. So fair play to Raheem Sterling. We are going to go into more detail on Chelsea's game against Luton in our next Chelsea Hot on Gold. That will be the next video, so keep your eyes peeled for that one as we dive into the deep detail. But 3 points at the bridge, happy days. Chelsea picking up a win. And yeah, the prediction in and of itself, as we did predict, we got the outcome right, we didn't get the result right. Moving on to the next game, Bournemouth versus Tottenham. Now, we were all expecting... Oh, actually, no, not all. I was. I'm not going to include everyone in this. I was expecting a 12:30 shock, and I didn't get it. In fact, we just got a standard outcome, 2-0 win. Tottenham look good. Fair play, haven't they?
Mate, they've started very, very well. And I think it's actually kind of similar to Chelsea when you think about last season and the way that the mood was for Chelsea. We just want to see difference. And we're seeing a difference. We're seeing us play with an intensity. Tottenham lost Harry Kane. People thought it was going to be the end of Spurs. Spurs fans are well, I don't really know what we can do here. We don't really even know much about Ange Postecoglou. But, I mean, they got bloody new songs coming out their ears about their manager and their team. Robbie Williams is involved and everything.
Robbie Williams.
Do you know what? If there's anything I hate more, there's not much that I hate more than this. But I've got to call it what it is. Tottenham look really, really good. Maddison, I think we always knew that Maddison was a top player. He just needed to be maybe around more top players in a system that was a bit more free than what he was used to under Rodgers. And at the moment, he's got that at Spurs. I didn't think he was going to be in the team. I thought he was injured. But they just look great again. They're getting the job done. They're looking solid at the back. One to watch.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder if they actually kept Harry Kane because it's kind of given a liberty to everyone else in the Tottenham team, it seems like. Now everyone's chipping in. And when you look at the way that the game went, the only player that even Tottenham fans will tell you wasn't up to it was in fact their striker, Richarlison. Everyone else looked fantastic except Richarlison. So it goes to show it's like everyone else is compensating for the fact that Kane's not there, but the man that's meant to come in as the replacement isn't doing what he's meant to do, yet Tottenham are still surviving. So it's a good sign in terms of them moving forward without a player like Kane. Maybe they've got the bare minimum to carry themselves all the way. Very, very good result. 2-0 on the day against Bournemouth. They dominated. They played good football under Ange Postecoglou. Do you think he's going to be able to keep that up, or do you think they'll face some challenges?
I mean, they've already beaten Man United, although that isn't really the most difficult thing in the world to do. But I think
mid-table.
I think the way that they're playing with like a freedom now. I think when you take such a key focal point player like Kane out of a team, it's not the first time in the Premier League we've seen a team lose their best player, and then actually it makes all of the other moving parts step up a level, step up a gear. And I think Postecoglou has said it himself. You know, when at the beginning of the season, when they first started to look like they were playing well in those first two games, Andrew was like, well, we had an idea that Kane may leave, so we've had to plan for it. And when a manager says that, you're like, well, of course you didn't not plan for it, because otherwise what is the point in what you're doing as a job? But it actually looks to me like they have, which is why I'm concerned about just how good Tottenham could possibly be. And I'm going to say they can keep this up. I think they will.
It's all about consistency now. So, it's a long season. It's just the beginning. We'll see how it goes. But Tottenham and the signs at Tottenham right now are looking good. So, absolutely fair play to them. Brentford versus Crystal Palace, 1-1. I mean, I had this as a draw, and it had it written all over it, for me anyway. What did you think of this game?
I thought Brentford were going to get it at home. I just think their attack had impressed me so much. But you've also, on the flip side of praising a good attack, you've got to look at Roy Hodgson and the job that he's doing at Palace right now, where last season under Vieira, they didn't look like scoring goals. This year, they've got that balance back by being difficult to break down, and as good and fluid as Brentford have been, they couldn't really do much more. And they still look pretty good going forward as well. And it's similar to that at Tottenham, where you lose your talisman, they've lost Zaha, but it seems to me like everybody else is putting in a shift over the pitch too that's compensated for that. And I think Palace will look at this result and the way Brentford have been playing and they'd be happy. And I think Brentford are still unbeaten in their first three, so I don't think they're going to be too disgruntled with it either.
No, you're completely right. Hodgson's done a thing where it's like bringing Crystal Palace back to basics, back to what they traditionally have known. Everyone wants to try and develop and be a team that's fantastic on the ball and expansive and progressive and all the buzzwords that everyone's trying to get their team aligned with nowadays. But he's just gone, look, we're going to go a bit old school, tighten up the back, keep some flair at attack, go on the counter, and Palace look effective. So you're completely right. They held Brentford at home. Absolutely good result. Late goal to equalise at 1-1, and it was exactly, to be honest, how I thought it might pan out. I thought that Palace might just salvage something, and they ended up doing so. 1-1 on the day. Now, talking about teams salvaging something, bloody hell, how have Fulham done this at the Emirates? What's happened to Arsenal? 2-2.
I mean, it's actually a running theme through the whole of the games that we've spoken about so far. I didn't see how Fulham were going to ever score a goal the same week that they sell Mitrovic, having looked so redundant up front. But then all of a sudden, I think this is the third time in their last 9 games at the Emirates that Arsenal have conceded a goal inside minute 1. But you know what? I've got to pinpoint the reason why Arsenal aren't doing very well. And I hate to say I told them so, but Kai Havertz is just pointless. Like, I joke about it, right? And people are like, yeah, but like, you're only saying that because you got annoyed at him last season at Chelsea. Look, Kai Havertz was living off of that goal in the Champions League final for far too long. There was never any moment since he scored that goal in 2021, more than 2 years ago, where Kai Havertz has evolved as a player, has developed as a player, who's got better as a player, the way that normally scoring such a historical goal would enable you to do. This guy does not suit the Premier League whatsoever. And it's getting to a point now where even if I think Arsenal were to realise this, and Havertz, this could be his only season left in the Premier League, maybe he comes good. I just don't think he will. And I think he's a hindrance to Arsenal. I really do. I think they've got much better players. You've got someone like Emil Smith-Rowe, who is probably looking at Havertz thinking, what on earth am I doing here? When they can go and spend 65 million on this geezer, who isn't worth 6.5 million with what he does on the pitch. What am I doing here? I think this is a big result for Arsenal in a negative way, because these games, if you look at the tail end of last season, look at how City grinded out a win, and we'll talk about them in a minute. They're 2 points behind Man City now, and that is 2 points against a Fulham team that are currently just looking around waiting for someone to kind of pick up the mantle and be like, we're losing key players, like what we're going to do. And they did that, and they played very well, and they were for large portions of that game looking as though they could even walk away with more than a point.
Yeah, no, you're completely spot on. And Fulham went down to 10 and still managed to salvage a result. But your point about Kai Havertz is absolutely true. And I said this when he left to Arsenal. I wasn't scared. When the 65 million came in, I was like, this is a great deal, fantastic. Why? Because I genuinely don't think it's a question of, like everyone's trying to make out, trying to find his best position. It's not about trying to find his best position. Chelsea have tried every single possible position that he could possibly play in, and it's not worked. He can't suit the Premier League. It's gone on for way too long. He can't adapt to it. I think it's too quick for him. I think it's too pacey for him. I don't think he has the capacity to think quick enough in order to play in the Premier League. He'll have moments, but he can't keep that up consistently. And that is why I think he didn't prove it at Chelsea as much as I think he would have liked. And it's going to be the same at Arsenal, because they play in the same league against the same opponents at the same tempo in the same pace. So you're right. Kai Havertz had a shocker, and as soon as he came off, funnily enough, Arsenal went and took the lead. But still, with 10 men, they somehow let Paulinho to get that equaliser very late on at the depth, and 2 points just fall out of their hands. So if they want to talk about winning the title, these are the sort of games you can't let go, because Man City will probably get results like this against a team like Fulham, and they'll probably go on to do it again. So, yeah, do you think Arsenal will find times where they're going to struggle, or do you think they'll pick themselves up pretty quickly?
I think they have to. I think if you look at the way they've played for the first 3 games, they've not really been great in any of those games, and still have 7 out of 9 points. I think based on the level of those performances, even though they've all been games I think they should have won, I still think that there's a couple of gears left in this Arsenal team, and I think they'll find them pretty quick, sadly.
They'll pick up results for sure. It's just how much and how many. We'll see. The next ones that were playing at the same time, and this was crazy because, like I said, I was expecting a 12:30 shock, but we were getting 3 p.m. shocks within the first 5 minutes. Nearly. Arsenal went down 1-0 at the Emirates. Man United went 2-0 down in the first 4 minutes at Old Trafford against Nottingham Forest. Somehow managed to claw a result back. Finished 3-2. Your thoughts on that game?
I think this is like, there's 2 stories involved with this one. If you think about over our lifetime, when Man United have looked as though a game is just absolutely disappearing from them, and then they somehow manage to find a win. Man United do that. Whether they are playing well, they're in form, they're scoring goals or not, Man United always find a way to claw their way back into games at Old Trafford. And it's also a classic case for Forest of sometimes you can have too good of a start. And I think being 2-0 up inside the first 4 minutes, Ten Hag managed the game really well for Man United, where it's like, all right, well, we could go on and concede 5 here, and then we are literally the most clipped up laughingstock team in the world. And even if we draw 5-5 at home to Forest and come back from 5-0 down, we still conceded 5 against Forest. That didn't happen. United started to regain control of the game, but they didn't treat it like something where they were desperate. They didn't act as though they needed to rush to get back into it, because Forest were probably just as shell-shocked as they were that they were 2-0 up at Old Trafford in 4 minutes. And Man United did what they did when you've got players like Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno, all capable of coming up with a goal when the forwards aren't firing. And I was not surprised that Man United won that game, even when I saw after 5 minutes that they were 2 down.
Yeah, I completely agree. I did say I reckon that they will come back. At the time, I was like, I reckon they might just make it back. And they did, because I think it's a story of 2 tales with Manchester United. Going forward, they have the players to go forward and cause disruption and create chances and get goals. They have that. No one's taken that away from them. They let themselves down defensively. And that was proof in the pudding for the first 5 minutes, where the defence and the midfield that were allowing everything to just flow straight through, not tight enough, very clumsy, very slow. All of a sudden, one-on-ones with Onana, and he's got nothing and no chance in order to try and save whatever's coming at him. Nottingham Forest take advantage, so they score twice. But Manchester United have the attack and the ability going forwards to claw themselves a result. They have to fix that defence, and not just the defence, but I think an urgent need for a defensive midfielder, which I think might be Amrabat, might tighten that up and might get United back on track. But we'll wait and see. They tried one thing which actually worked for them, and I noticed, and Man United fans were pleased. Rashford on the left-hand side, finally, as a left winger. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's his best position?
The weirdest thing is he's like, he wants to score more goals. I don't know if you watched the interview he did with Gary Neville on the overlap. It's like, yeah, I'm the striker. I want to be playing, scoring more, committing more to the team in that kind of area. But like, he just does look so much more comfortable off that left. I don't know how long Højlund's going to be out for, but I think it is a bit of a concern for someone like Mount. Like, I don't really see how anything's going to change at Man United. When Amrabat comes in, that pushes Mount even further out of the team. Like, we saw him at times at Chelsea used on the left, but Rashford is clearly a more moulded player to Manchester United in that position coming off that left side.
100%.
So I think Mount is already really, really stuck at Man United now in terms of how he could have space in the team. But I think for me, their success this season will depend on how quickly Rasmus Højlund can fit into the Premier League's speed.
Yep, no, I completely agree. In regards to Mount, quickly, this is honestly why I believe that if he went to Liverpool, he'd be a bigger threat than going to Manchester United. This is why I've not been
100%.
concerned since he went to Man United, because I just don't see how he fits in the same way that he was struggling to be able to fit in properly in a system that Chelsea wanted to get themselves moving in, is how I think it'd probably be even worse at Manchester United. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But Man United picking up themselves from a possible defeat all the way now to a nice victory, 3-2 on the day, and it's a win. So fair play to Manchester United, and they move on. Everton 0, Wolves 1. Your thoughts on this one? Because we were talking about how Everton are looking like they're struggling, but they might just claw something. They might get themselves back on track, or they've lost at home to Wolves. Your thoughts?
Mate, I think all you got to do is listen to Goodison Park. They're booing. After three games of the season, I think the writing is on the wall. I think if there was like a team right now who I can look at and be like, I think you're already relegated, because I feel like everyone has just admitted defeat at Everton. I think even Sean Dyche knows that even the hardest of blokes and geezers can't really just turn up and make this a fight for them anymore. I think this game was a battle in my head beforehand of like, well, how can you entertain us? How can you prove to me that this isn't going to be 0-0? I didn't want to say 0-0. I said 1-1. I just thought they'd both cancel each other out and score a scrappy goal each. I think I even said that Everton would get an equaliser off the crossbar and off someone's backside into the back of the net or whatever from a corner. They didn't even manage that. Wolves score a late goal. Big result for them. I don't really think it has too much impact on either team. I think both of these two will go down. Everton and Wolves. After the first 3 weeks of the season, Wolves, if you look at it, 4 points.
You reckon Wolves will go down?
No, they lost to Man United, didn't they? 3 points.
They
I
lost,
still don't think they're going to score enough. I don't think they'll score enough. But they've played well enough, but I don't think there's enough quality. And I think Everton are gone. Gone.
No, you're right. Everton are an absolute mess. And I said, to be honest, I reckoned that they would be a side that might just claw it. And it's still very early days. We're only after match day 3. But you're right, they've not even scored a goal. It's really bad at Everton. So right now they are literally sitting bottom with nothing to their name after 3 matches. Absolutely chaotic. I mean, it might help Frank Lampard, if I'm being honest. He can actually come on out and say, hey, I kept this Everton team up. That's probably an achievement. So who would have thought? Who would have thought? Not us, that's for sure.
No.
But that's Wolves getting a win at Everton. Fair play. We'll see how Everton do going into the next few games. They've got a Carabao Cup midweek tie, I believe, against Doncaster. You better not lose that. If Everton lose that, just stop playing. Just stop playing. Don't play for the rest of the season.
I think they'll win it 2-1
quits.
on penalties, mate. Dead penalty shootout after a dead 0-0.
Proper Sean Dyche way. Right, Brighton 1, West Ham 3. This one was a shock, I'm not going to lie. And
Mate,
Brighton have been pulled straight back down to earth. It has been. It has been. What are your thoughts?
I think in terms of like a footballing tragedy, if you want to, I mean, it depends which way you want to look at it. A tragedy can always be looked at in like a film sense as like a beautiful movie. So if you want to be the one who supports or backs the teams that play beautiful football and that should be what warrants a result, then you're heartbroken by this one. Or if you're like me, where it's like, you know what? Sometimes it's those grinding, gritty, we don't really deserve this, but look what we've just done wins. That's what I love about football. When Chelsea used to win games 1-0, playing scrappy, dead, boring football, I was delighted because we did it so often that it's just 3 points, and that's what you celebrate. You don't celebrate playing beautiful football and losing. And this, David Moyes, mate, like, if you think about what we were thinking of West Ham a few weeks ago when they weren't spending money, you're adding a Mohamed Kudus massive goal threat into a team that go to Brighton and back up a result beating Chelsea the previous week. They go to Brighton, get passed off the park, but look clinical in front of goal, soak up a load of pressure. Areola finally looks like he's a flipping world beater. And I think they've got something really good going on here. I did not see this result coming. But West Ham are going to be a really tricky team now, and I think they've spent that money that they got in from Rice on becoming a better team than they were with Declan Rice in the side. And he was their best player since flipping Bobby Moore.
Oh, you're completely right. You're completely right. I think they've gone back to a philosophy that I think just suits West Ham. And is not difficult to execute, but it's effective if you do it well. And I think with this, I mean, they after 2-0, 2-0 up with 18% possession. I mean, it's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, and like you said, we had this at Chelsea. We loved it because it gets everyone wound up. Everyone's peed off. Everyone's like, no, how is this happening? We're just like, yes, it's happening. Deal with it. Right? It's a great feeling. But you just pick up the 3 points, and that's the most important thing, and you keep it moving against a Brighton team that were deemed very, very efficient, beautiful football, very effective, very direct, no mistakes, but they got absolutely done. Despite dominating the game, absolutely done. And it goes to show now, even with that result, maybe even the win against Chelsea wasn't just a fluke. Maybe West Ham do actually have quality, and now they've added Kudus, they've kept Paqueta. This is a great, great West Ham team. It's looking like it might be. So, fair play. Keep your eye on West Ham. They might have something going on. They might just. So, that's West Ham. We'll see how it pans out for them for the next few games and whether they can keep it up and keep up the consistency. Manchester City against Sheffield United. We thought that they would blitz Sheffield United, and it didn't even come close. This week has been absolutely mental, and this is one reason. So far off. Your thoughts on Sheffield United almost getting a good result?
I mean, when you look across all of the other results of the weekend, like, there's a lot of teams in there, like your Fulhams, your Forests, West Ham, that were doing things that we just didn't expect to happen. The Premier League now, you've got your teams at the very top that are levels above. People can say this year it looks as though it could be like the most top half and then the bottom half Premier League maybe ever because of that golfing class. But I think this is one of those games which, whether you like the outcome or not, kind of just shows the brilliance of the Premier League, where Man City, Erling Haaland misses a penalty, a bloke that you never expect to miss anything. He's gone and bloody signed for Logan Paul and KSI FC now as well for Prime. But that didn't seem to help him score a penalty. And then he goes and scores the goal, and it's like, all right, well, now that he's scored, it's happening now, isn't it? City are going to go on and win. Yeah. They go down the other end, and it's almost as if when Sheffield United score, you don't think it's actually happened. And then Man City do what all great teams do. They don't panic. They don't go and concede more. They don't let the game slip away from them. They're not playing very well. The pacing of the game was off. They don't have their manager in the dugout. And then who goes and scores the winner? A bloke who just scores a phenomenal winner in a Champions League final. There are absolute footballing legends all over this Manchester City team. So even when they're at a difficult place, their fans, Sheffield United fans, they're like, look, we've got nothing to lose here. We're playing against the treble winners. Go for it. And they still find a way. This is the hallmark of proper champions, mate. And I think, again, we might look at this result at the end of the season and be like, well, that was a big day at Bramall Lane.
Absolutely. And when they equalised, I was thinking, no way. Like, Man City looked like they've had a bit of an off day overall because they haven't been as effective as you'd expect them to be. But when Sheffield United scored, I thought, wow, okay, I think this might be it. No, 3 minutes later, as you said, City are cool, they're composed. I think Pep not being in the dugout probably played a part. Because there's tight little detail in moments where your manager can come in clutch just to correct you and guide you and put you on the right track. But 3 minutes later, Man City just like, you know what, lads, let's stop mucking around. Can we just get a winner, please? And then they just got a winner. 2-1, they pick up 3 points, happy days, and they are now, get this, after 3 games, the only team with a 100% record. I think that's fascinating. Because normally there's about 3, 4, 5 teams maybe that still have a 100% record at this point. One team left, and that's Manchester City. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise, but at the same time, I think it just goes to show again that, like, we talk in the early stages about, well, everyone's on the same playing field. Like, we're all looking to get points on the board to kind of start to formulate where the season can go for each club. But, like, that, I see this as they're pulling away already.
Exactly.
Because you just know they will do this over and over and over again. It's kind of boring, but, like... It's all right, we've got Aston Villa to talk about next. They're going for the league, mate, trust me.
No, you're right. And talking about Villa, actually, we thought that them going up against Burnley might be maybe a little test. Burnley might show up and start to come out their shell a little bit like we expect them to, and it's still not happened. But is that more to do with Aston Villa being Aston Villa right now?
They're just ruthless, aren't they? Like, I think...
They are.
I mean, first of all, I've got to say it. The Burnley fans who are throwing bricks... or a brick at the Aston Villa bus, mate. Get to the flipping Vanarama, mate. You're not even welcome in non-league football. You're a bunch of tossers, and I hope you see this, and I hope you know. Not that it really matters, because if you're the kind of person to throw bricks, my opinion don't matter either. But Villa. Burnley were really poor, but Aston Villa are they're just very good. I think Diaby is going to look at being one of the signings of the season. I think he's a real game changer. And then you also look at that right-hand side, Matty Cash as well, like... 2 brilliant goals from him, arriving late in the box. They're gonna beat a lot of teams this season. I think there might still be games like in the Newcastle game where they were kind of opened up a little bit. But, wow, Aston Villa are blowing teams away.
You're completely right. And I referenced the same point like I did last week where we spoke about Aston Villa. The game that they lost to Newcastle and the surprising statement that Alex Ferguson made after going, no, you know what, Aston Villa played really well. I'm like, what? Are you sure? Turns out, yeah, maybe there's things we didn't notice. Maybe Aston Villa were just unlucky on that day and maybe let themselves a little bit open. But the football that they're playing under Unai Emery, that's starting to really show now, is really, really fantastic. And it's efficient. They're getting results. They're looking good going forward from every position. Aston Villa, keep your eyes on them because they're going to chase a European spot. I don't think they'll get top 4. You never know, but I doubt it. A European spot, though, definitely in grasp. Definitely within grasp. So we'll see how Aston Villa do. But is this a surprise? Newcastle 1, Liverpool 2? Or is this expected?
Do you know what? I think this game is actually massive on so many levels. It's massive because it's become a big game now. Newcastle are where Liverpool think they should be, and Liverpool are where Newcastle maybe should be, chasing.
Yeah.
But Newcastle are the Champions League team, Liverpool are in the Europa, but this win, I think Klopp said it, like in his 1,000 games in charge, this is like one of the most super rare happiness feelings he's ever experienced, because I think he knows just how important this win is for Liverpool. Like when they went, I'm sure, I think you probably felt the same, but tell us, when Van Dijk goes off, I thought that Liverpool were going to get the Villa treatment, the 5 goals, the 6 goals, but that's 13 in a row now that Liverpool haven't lost to Newcastle in the league, and I think this could be I watched Lawrence McKenna's video. He was talking about the Liverpool-Newcastle game and how it's not going to be like that result that is a turning point, but I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I don't need to like hone in my like excitement. I think this is a huge win for Liverpool.
You're completely right, because even when you look on the day and the way that the game was played, Newcastle were the dominant side. You can't take that away. They dominated in every single metric, but it just didn't really look like Newcastle were really going to go on and win the game by a large score or a huge margin. Liverpool kept themselves in the game despite going to 10 men. And I didn't think that would happen. Like you said, I thought they'd get destroyed after Van Dijk got sent off. correct red card, as far as I'm concerned. I've seen the debate. Do you think it was a correct red card, really quickly, or do you think it was unfair?
I think it's soft, but then, yeah, he's going in on goal. Like, Jamie Carragher thinks he's not got a scoring opportunity afterwards. That's a bloody laughable thing. He's the last man. By the letter of the law, he's gone. And he's gone.
It's because of that. It's soft, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Like, there are challenges that are much more harder than that. But as a last man, taking him out, regardless, contact made, last man, goal scoring opportunity, by the letter of the law, it's a red. Liverpool coming back though, and Nunez being as efficient as I think many people have wanted him to be at this point. 2 goals, fantastic goals, great assist by Salah, by the way. Fantastic ball straight into his path. And in the 93rd minute, comes in clutch and gets 3 points for Liverpool. Big confidence booster, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think for Nunez, like, the fact that he's not been starting games, I don't think is too much of an issue when you're able to come off the bench and do stuff like that. Klopp is going to reward that. So I think for Nunez now, 100%. It's about like, well, there's a lot of great attackers here. There's Gakpo, there's Jota, there's Salah. Maybe that's his last game. That's what people have said. It could be his last game at the club.
It could be.
And I think what a way to finish if that's what you're going to do. Like, he might not have been the goal scorer, but it's almost like the handing over the mantle to Nunez to be like, well, now you can be the clutch step-up guy that I've been for the last 6 years at this club. And I think it's just one of those wins where there's a lot of records on the line for Klopp. I think he's beaten Eddie Howe like 11 times in a row or 13 times in a row or something. Newcastle haven't beaten Liverpool in this fixture for a long, long time. And I think it's also, well, you're in the Champions League spots. We had an off-season, but we're here and we want that spot back. And we're going to come into your backyard with your fans making that noise. You're beating us and with 10 minutes to go, we're going to flip this game on its head when we don't even have as many players as you on the pitch. I think it's a huge, huge game in the Premier League scope this season, that one. And I think Newcastle could struggle to bounce back from this. I think they're going to be shell-shocked.
I think it might take some time for Newcastle now. Liverpool, however, will probably take that momentum and start moving with it up until the international break. There's not long left, but it's something to use, absolutely. And we'll see how it's going to keep going in the next few match days and whether teams are really going to start picking up results or whether they're going to fall back. But in terms of us and our predictions, do you want to go through the scores? What's the latest in terms of the way that we've predicted this match day?
Well, the scores on the doors, I've done pretty awfully here. I'm up to a grand total of 8 points after 3 correct results, but not the correct scores. Eunice has had a great week this week. He's officially doubled my scores for this week by picking up a giant 6 points. I mean, it's still not monumental, but it is significantly more than what I have. So Eunice is now 11-8 ahead. Let us know in the comments how you got on. But it's okay, because I've got a feeling. Match week number 4, I don't know why, but I always do well on match week number 4 with my predictions. So this week's going to be very interesting, mate. Enjoy the lead for now, all right? Because history always tells me. I'm making this up completely. I'm lying. I have no idea what my record's like on game week 4.
You do well on match day 4. I'll do well on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and so on.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Let us know your predictions as well and how you guys have been doing, and make sure you keep up to date on the next prediction video for the next match day, where we will give you guys our new predictions for those games that are going to be upcoming. So thank you all so much for watching, people. Let us know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button if you are new, and hit that notification bell to be notified. Check out the socials that are in the description as well. Me and George will see you again very soon. Have a good one, people. In a bit.